This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we were discussing about collections in Python. As part of that, yesterday we covered lists. Okay, how to declare the list, how to read data from the list, how to add new items, like that. We have seen some examples, right? Next topic we need to understand is tuples, or some people call it as tuples also. Okay, so what is the difference between lists and tuples? If you can understand that part, we are good with tuples. Okay, tuples are also like a collection of different items only. Okay, it's collection of different types of items or elements or data. You can say anything. It is a collection of items again. What is the difference? It is immutable. Lists are mutable, tuples are immutable. What does it mean? Immutable means not changeable. Once you created a tuple, you cannot change it. When I'm saying you cannot change means you cannot add items to the tuple, you cannot edit the existing data, you cannot update, you cannot add, update, delete items of the tuple. Once you have declared the tuple, that is fixed. You cannot make any changes to the tuple. Okay, how to declare a tuple? Declaration. For list declaration, we used square brackets, right? For tuple declaration, we use opening and closing parenthesis. Okay, this is empty tuple. Okay, how to declare with elements? Tuple equals to parenthesis 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I say like this is tuple with 5 elements. Also, we can declare a tuple without using any brackets or braces or parentheses. Even if you don't provide anything also, parentheses or brackets, by default it will consider like a parenthesis and it is a tuple only. Okay, that we have to remember. Let me open my IDLE. Okay, I'm declaring one tuple. Let me minimize the screen for better visibility. Yes. Okay, tuple 1 equals to, I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example. Okay, if I print a type of it, type of tup1, what I'll get? Class tuple. That means it is of type tuple data. I'm telling you, like, even if I don't provide any parentheses also, say tuple 2 equals to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5, for example, and I'll say tuple of type of tup2. See here, it is again tuple only. So even if you provide any parentheses or even if you don't provide anything also, it will consider as a tuple only. And one more point you need to understand here. Here, if I'm passing some n number of values here and I'm assigning to a tuple, this concept is known as packaging. This concept is known as packaging. So clubbing some multiple items into single unit, combining multiple items into single unit is known as a packaging. So the concept comes with the tuple here. Also, we can do unpackaging also. We can do unpackaging also, unpacking. So how to do that? Say for example, I have T1, tuple equals to T1, say 1, 2, 3. I have 3 values. I have T1 with the 3 values. Okay, this is packing. I have done packing. 3 elements are packed into one unit, that is T1. Now I want to do unpacking. So A comma B comma C equals to T1, I'll say. I'm saying A comma B comma C equals to T1. T1 is my tuple. A, B, C are my 3 new variables. Okay. So what happens here is when you are doing like this, the first element will be assigned to variable A. The second item will be assigned to variable B. Third item will be assigned to variable C. This concept is known as unpacking. If I print A, B, C individual values, I can see 1, 2, and 3. Okay, say for example, if I say a comma b equals to t1, a comma b equals to t1. So in my tuple I have three elements, but I am trying to unpack to only two variables. Will it work? It will not work. It is saying too many values to unpack. There are more values in t1 to unpack. Okay, that is what it is giving the error. If I say a b c d and t1, again it is giving me error. What error it is giving? Not enough values to unpack. So it is having less items comparing to this variables count. Okay, so when you want to do unpacking, you have to provide the same number of variables based on the number of elements available in the tuple. Okay, so this is one. When we are talking about tuples, we need to understand three main points. Tuple is a collection of items of different data types. Point number one. Point number two, it is immutable. Immutable means we cannot change anything. Point number three you have to remember is packing and unpacking concept. Okay, I'm saying tuple is immutable. Say if I try to remove one element from tuple 1, del tup1 of 0, is it deleting? No, it's not deleting. Tuple 1 dot append 10, it is giving error. Tuple will not have does not have any append method. If I try to update tuple 1 of 0 equals to 10, I'm trying to update, still it is not accepting. So once the tuple is declared, it is like frozen. We cannot add any element, we cannot update the existing element, we cannot delete the element. Okay, can I delete a tuple? Can I delete a tuple? Not the elements of the tuple. Can I delete the entire tuple? For example, del t1, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Okay, you cannot change the elements of the tuple, but if required, if you want to delete the tuple, yes, you can delete the tuple. Okay, these are the main differences you need to understand from lists to tuple. Remaining reading path is same. Like uh, I have tuple 1, right? Tup 1 of 0 if I want to read one specific indexed item. Okay, if I want to slice it, I can do some slicing, like 1 colon 3, for example. Slicing operations will work. Tuple 1 of slicing plus jump index, that will also work. Okay, reading, coming to the reading part, all the operations you have performed in the lists, the same operations can be applied to the tuple also. The difference you need to understand is we cannot change it. It is immutable. Okay, tuple is clear to everyone, or do you have any questions on this part? Please confirm. If you don't have any questions, I'll move on to the next topic. Guys, is it clear, or didn't understand, or why you're so silent? Shall I go ahead? Okay, it's clear. Yeah. So that's a good question from Ganesh. Can we use? Yes, we can. So list 1 equals to 1, 2, 3, 4. For example, a comma b comma c comma d equals to list 1. A, B, C, D. Yeah, it works. Anyhow, it requires same number of variables and same number of elements. Okay. Next data type we need to understand range. You have idea, or okay? Next we have range. It is also one kind of collection only. Generally, range will be used as part of looping statements. When you want to write some loops, range will be used. Okay, it's not like a list or tuple. You cannot see the elements directly, so it will be wrapped like an object only, but you can use the elements of the range. Say for example, if I say range of 10, okay, if I say range of 10, that means it contains 10 elements starting from 0 to 9. 0 to 9, it will contain the elements. 10 elements will be available with the range of 10. Okay, say for example, if I say range of 2 comma 10, 2 comma 10, if I say like that, 2 to 9 elements will be available in the range. 2 to 9 the elements will be available in the range. Also we can use range like this, range 1 comma 10 comma 2, for example. Okay, what happens here, when I say 2 means 2 works like a jump index, jump statement. So what are the values will be considered here? 1, 3, 5, 7, 7 and 9. These are the values will be considered. If I say range 1 comma 10 comma 2, the elements will be considered are 1 to 9, and from 1 to 9, in 1 to 9, jump statement will be applied, and only the other elements, one element will be considered, the other elements will be ignored. Like that the elements will be considered. Okay, mostly when you want to write one quick for loop, you don't have any collection on the fly, you want some collection, or you want to execute some set of statements for 10 times or 20 times. Okay, quickly you can use the range operator, I mean range collection, you can quickly use it, and you can write the for loop. Okay, let me show you only this part, how the data will come. Right, range of 10, if I say, see here, range of 10, if I say, that means range of 0 comma 10. Automatically it will consider 0 as the starting index. We can see like an object only here, but if you want to print the data, I can write a for loop for x in range 10. Okay, print x. Okay, if I say enter, see here, 0 to 9 elements it printed. So when for loop is getting executed, first range of 10 will be evaluated. Range of 10 means 0 to 9 elements. 0 to 9 elements will be available. In the for loop, x value will change from 0 to 9. Initially x value will become 0, and the set of statements available in the for loop will be executed. Then x value will become 1, and the statements will be executed. It will become 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. It will iterate from 0 to 9, and the statements we have mentioned in the for loop will be executed. For our example purpose, I have written only one statement, that is print x. That means I'm printing the iteration variable x value. Okay, if you want to perform any other operations, like you want to print one mathematical table, for example, for your students purpose, yes, you can print that. So simply I'm just copying this. Okay, I want to print some table kind of format. Okay, instead of x, I can say maybe 2 comma x. Let me write this way. 2 into x equals to 2 star x, for example. I'm writing one formula kind of thing here. So what does it means? 2 will be printed, star will be printed, x will be printed, equals to will be printed, and a 2 star x will be printed. See here, 2 into 0, 2 into 1, 2 into 2, 2 into 4, like that I got the table. Okay, table for value 2. Here you can write any formula. Here I have written only one statement. If you want, you can write multiple statements also. Okay, so range of 10, we have seen how it works. Also we'll see range of 2 comma 10, for example. 2 comma 10, what it will give? 2 will be considered as starting index, and up to 9 the values will be printed. 2 to 9, we got it, right? Also we can try the jump statement also. So if I write range of 2 comma maybe 15, for example, 15 comma 2, what happens now? All the even numbers all the even numbers between 2 and 15 will be printed. Okay, jump statement will work in the same way how it worked for the listen tuples while reading and the slicing operations. How it worked in the same way it will work in the range operator also. If I say 3, for example, it will ignore two elements and it will consider the other elements. Okay, any questions about range collection? So when you want to write in a quick uh, for loop, when you don't have any collection, some n number of times you want to execute some statements, in that situations we use the range collection. Okay, any questions? Okay, let me go to the next topic. Next topic in this part is sets. How many of you remember sets topic in your mathematics? You remember the sets? Like this, we used to have some diagrams. Let me write the numbers first. 1, 2, 3. Four and 5. 6, 7. This is set A. This is set B, for example. Do you guys remember this kind of diagrams in your mathematics in your school days? No? Yes? Yes or no? Some green. Just to differentiate, I'm adding the colors. Okay, guys, no one remember these sets? Even not even one person? Okay, only one person is responding. Okay, okay, good. If you remember the sets, if you remember union, intersection, difference, like that, the point here is Python will support the sets concept. The sets concept will be supported in Python. The way how you have used your sets concept in your mathematics in your school days, in the same way you can use the sets concept in Python also. Okay, how to use I'll be showing in a moment. Like when you want to compare two different collections and like what is the um, common elements, what are the common elements, what are the differences between the collection, and what are the like what is the value of union if you club both the collections, like that. When you want to perform some operations, yes, the sets concept is available. How you use the set concepts in your mathematics, in the same way you can use it. For example, if I ask you a question like how many elements are available in set A? Okay, A and B, two sets I have drawn here. So what are the elements available in set A? If you know that, I'm good to go. How many elements available in set A? 5 elements. 5 elements is the correct answer. Pranati, not the 3. Okay. In B, we have the 5 elements. In set A, I have the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In set B, I have elements 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What are the common elements between A and B? Common elements are 4 and 5. Okay. If I say A union B, what are the elements will come? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When I say A union B, all the elements of A and B will be considered all the elements will be considered, and they will come like a one set. Okay, if I want to see the common elements, I want to check the intersection. If I say in A intersection B, what is the value? 4 comma 5. 4 comma 5 are the values for intersection. Good, few people are responding and they are responding correctly. Okay, if I say A minus B, A minus B, that means we have to consider the elements which are available in A but not available in B. A minus B means that green color highlighted part, 1 2 3. Okay, if I say B minus A, 6 7 8 will be considered. That way we have some set operations in our mathematics, right? The same operations we can perform using Python also. Let me show you some examples. Okay, I'll keep this image aside. Okay, while writing we can see this also. Okay, let me take one ideally. Okay, here I want to declare two sets. Set A I am declaring. You can use small letters or capital letters, that is fine. A equals to declare a set, you have to use the braces. You have to use the braces. 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Done. B equals to 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 7 comma 8. I have taken set A and set B, 5 elements. If I say type of A, it is giving set. Okay, we know that it is a set data type. Next, if I say A, if I say B, for example, it's coming correctly here, but don't assume that order of the elements will be preserved. In sets, order of the elements will not be preserved. Okay, order may be jumbled. Even if you are adding one in the first and 5 in the last, the order may also change. Okay, don't worry about the order. Okay, let us see one by one. A, I know what are the values available. B, I know what are the values available. Okay, let us see how to union them. Union A union B, that means I have to use the A type symbol B, or you can say or A or B. If you say, the elements which are available in A or B will be considered. 1 to 8 all the elements are considered. You can say A or B, like A pipe symbol B for union, or we have one more option like A dot union of B. We have one inbuilt function available just for your better readability. You can use either of this one. We can use the operator, or you can use the function also. It will work, both will work in the same way. So union means union will give all the elements available in both the sets. So if I say A union B, it will consider all the elements. Fine. Next, intersection. I want to understand the intersection. You can use A ampersand B, A and B. So elements which are available in A and B will be considered. In our example, 4 and 5 are the elements which are common in between set A and set B. Okay, I can use A dot intersection dot of B. Maybe I'm writing wrong spelling. Intersection, what did I write? Okay, S extra I have written, so spelling mistake. So A dot intersection B, so that will also consider 4 comma 5. Okay, if I want to get difference A minus B, what are the elements will be considered? The elements highlighted in green color block will be considered A minus B. That means the elements which are available in variable A which are not available in B should be considered. Okay, so also we have a method difference. Intelligence is not working. Yeah, difference of B. A dot difference of B, I'll get 1 2 3. If I say B minus A, what I'll get? 6 7 8. The elements which are available in B and should not be available in A will be considered. See here, when I say B minus A, it's not showing 6, 7, 8. It is showing 8, 6, 7. Order will not be preserved. Okay, don't worry about the order. We have one more option like a symmetric difference. A cap B. A cap B. Symmetric difference means it will consider both. Maybe I can say a formula like this: A union B minus A intersection B. Maybe formula I have given wrongly. A and B. Okay. So because the proper parentheses are missing, it considered wrongly. One by one it calculated. So this is the formula. So A symmetric B means A union B minus A intersection B. This is nothing new in Python. This is your mathematical formula only. In your maths, the formula is same. So it will give the same data. Okay. While getting the data, you can update the set also. While getting the data, you can update the set also. So for example, A union B, I'm writing, right? A union B. Instead of A union B, for example, if I say union assignment, I can say union assignment of B. Okay. A union assignment equals to B. What happens here? It updates A set with A union B data. If I run like this, it will give A union B data into variable A. The point I want to highlight here is, if you remember in variables, say A equals to 10, for example. Okay. When I say A equals to A plus 2, what happens? A value will become 12, right? Instead of writing A equals to A plus 2, I can also write this way: A plus equals to 2. A plus equals to 2. That will also become 12. The same way, when you want to perform some sets related operation and you want to update A set with the result, you want to update set A with the result, then you can write some statements like this also, like A union assignment equals to B, A intersection assignment equals to B, like this. If you are writing, so in the second example, the intersection part will be considered and that part will be assigned to variable A. Okay, that way also you can do. When we are talking about sets, we need to understand one more point, that is a subset. That is subset. If I have A1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so A1 is a subset of A because it is having elements 1, 2, 3. It is also having elements 1, 2, 3. Okay, if I say A is less than, sorry, A1 is less than A, it will give true. Less than or greater than works like a subset and superset. If you want to check whether it is a subset or superset, you can use less than or greater than. If I say A1 is greater than A, it will give false. A1 is not a superset. Okay, so we have seen like the comparison kind of operations and set related operations in for the sets A and B. Okay, now I want to add elements to the set. I want to update elements, or I want to add more elements. I want to delete one element. Is it possible in sets? Yes, sets are mutable and changeable. We can change the elements of the sets. That is possible. So for example, A equals to 1, 2, 3. I have 3 elements. Okay, I want to add an element. Add A dot add 10. If I say A dot add 10, what happened? Element 10 will be added to the set. See here, element 10 will be added to the set. Also remember here, I have added 10 at the end, but it came to the beginning element. But it may come in the middle also. Don't worry about it. Okay. So order, as I'm saying repeatedly, order will not be preserved. Okay. So if I want to update we have an update method also. Update, I'll provide some elements like maybe 10, 20, 30. So when you want to add multiple items to your set, you can use a word called update. Okay, I doubt I can use index. No, I don't doubt actually. I'm sure we cannot use indexing in sets. Why we cannot use indexing in sets? The reason is index will not be preserved. Elements will be volatile. They will be changing. Okay, so index concept will not work in sets. If you want to delete an element, a dot remove is there, remove 10. So element 10 will be removed here. Okay, I think discard is also there. Okay, discard will also help us to remove the element. Remove will also help us to delete the element. We have two options to delete an element from the set. One is remove, one is discard. What is the difference? What is the difference? A dot remove 100, if I say, I'll get an error. A dot discard 100, if I say, I don't get an error. Okay, one small difference between remove and discard is if you want to use remove, you have to provide the value which is available in the set. You have to make sure that the value is available in the set. Okay, then only it will remove, otherwise it will give error. Discard will check if the element is available or not. If the element is available, it will remove, otherwise it won't give any error. That is the only difference between remove and discard. You can add elements to the set, you can add multiple elements to the set, and you can delete the element from the set. You have to provide the element. Okay, there is no concept called updating a specific element. You have to override the set. Okay, is it clear? Okay, when we are discussing about sets, we have one more concept. So in sets we are adding function, whereas it is showing error in list and tuple. Why? In list and tuple you don't give error, Ganesh. Only in tuple it will give error. Only in tuple it will give error. In list it will work. Add will work in list. Actually not add, append. Append is the method we use. So in list we can add the elements. Tuple is immutable. We cannot add elements to it. Okay, Megha Neela is having one question, like if I have a repeated values, a equals to say 1 1 1 1 2 2 3 3, for example, what I'll get? See here, it will set will consider only unique values. Okay, set will have only unique values. Del will not work here. Del set of I don't think it will work. 2. Del cannot function call in set. Okay, we have to use remove or discard. Ganesh, I didn't understand your question. We are using append function. What is your question? List 1 2 3 and you want to add like this, dot add 10. Add function is not there in list and tuple. If you want to add an element, you have to use append method. Okay, the same thing you want to check with set, a dot append. Is it what you are looking for? Why don't you unmute yourself and talk, Ganesh? Yeah, add function is only applicable for sets. Okay, for every every object for every data type we will be having different methods, right? Like how they were created, how they were implemented. So for set they have created add method. For listen lists they have created append method. That is the difference. You have to take the help of intelligence. So if I say a dot and control space, it will show all the list of properties and methods available for any object, for any variable. Okay, only that supported methods only we have to use. That is the thing. Okay. Okay, no problem, no problem. Okay, when we are talking about sets, we need to talk about one more thing, frozen set. Okay, frozen set means it's like a same like set, but it is immutable. Okay, you want to get all the benefits of set, but you want to make it like a immutable. Once it is declared, it should be frozen. You don't want to make any changes to it. Then you have to go for a frozen set. First you have to declare one set or a list or any collection. First you have to declare one collection. Then you have to convert into frozen set. Then it will work for you. Like for example, I have a set A, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. I want to declare one frozen set. Some f equals to frozen set of A. See here, type of f. If I say, I'll get the frozen set. So first take one collection, any of the collection, then use the frozen set method and convert it into frozen set. Okay, the concept like union, intersection, A minus B, B minus A, that kind of things all will work for frozen sets also. Only problem is you cannot add elements to the frozen set, you cannot delete elements from the frozen set. Okay, that is like frozen. When you want to share from one location to another location, you want to make sure um, that is immutable, that is not changeable. You can go with the frozen set when you want to have all the uh, benefits of sets. Okay, nothing much to discuss about frozen sets. Only point you have to remember is that is immutable, that means not changeable. Okay, next important collection we have is dictionary. Till now we have seen lists and tuples and different types of collections. That collections are index based. When you want to access a specific element, you have to use the indexes like a of 0, a of 5, like that. Okay, we may not be able to remember indexes every time. So instead of that, if you want to have a collection with key value pairs, collection with the key value pairs, we can go for the dictionaries. Dictionaries will also store n number of elements. You can store it, they are growable in nature. You can store n number of elements. Okay, any number of elements you can store, and later also you can add. That is fine. Um, you can add elements. The values will be stored in dictionary are like keys and values, keys and values and its pairs. Okay, so you can access one element using one key also. That is possible in the dictionaries. Okay, so how to declare a dictionary? Let me write. Declaring a dictionary. Say dict equals to, you have to use the braces. You can provide the like key value pairs like name colon slc, age 3 for example, 3 years, location Hyderabad. Done. Okay, I missed one quotation mark. Done here. If I say DICT dictionary, I got here name SLC, age 3, location Hyderabad. If I say type of dictionary, DICT, I'll get the dictionary data type. Okay, this is how you can declare a dictionary. So it contains multiple elements as key value pairs. So name is a key, SLC is a value, age is a key, SLC 3 is a value, location key, Hyderabad is value. Okay, values you can have any type, of course keys also, but for better uses we keep them like this. Okay, so how to access it? If I want to access the name, dictionary of name, I'll get the SLC. Dictionary of age, if I say, I'll get the age. Instead of remembering the IDs, like you have a object kind of thing, like key value pairs, it would be easy for you to read a specific element. Okay, so reading, we can read using the key like this, one option. And if you want to print all the keys, for example, I want to print all the keys, how can I do that? You can use any loop. Okay, like for loop I want to use for k in dictionary dot keys, print k. See here, I'm printing all the keys here. For k in dictionary dot keys, print k. When I say dictionary dot keys, what happens is it will give a collection of keys. All the keys, name, age, location will be available as a collection here. K value will become name in the first iteration. It will become age as the second iteration. It will become Hyderabad, location as the third iteration. What I'm doing here, I'm printing the k value here, so it will print the name, age, location. Okay, so for example, if I say for k in dictionary dot keys colon print dictionary of k, what happens here? When I print k will be printed. When I print a dictionary of k, what happens here? Values will be printed. Dictionary of k means values will be printed. Okay, I want to get only values. Yes, I can get. For v in dictionary dot values, print v. That will also will give all the set of values. Okay, for some reason, can I get both key and value to a temporary variables, and I want to perform different operation on key, different operations on operation, for example, can I do that? Yes, we can do that. For example, for k comma v in dictionary dot items. Okay, print k comma v. What happens here? When I say dictionary dot items, it will consider all the key value pairs of dictionary. All the keys will come, all the values will come. Okay, in each pair the values will be stored. K value will become name, v value will become SLC, k value will become age, v value will become 3, k value will become location, and v value will become Hyderabad. Like that they will iterate. So if I say enter, see here, name SLC, age 3, location Hyderabad. So name is coming from k, SLC is coming from v. You can unpack the collections like this also. Okay, this is how we can read elements from the dictionary. What if I want to add an element to the dictionary? Currently I have 3 elements in the dictionary. I want to add a new item. It's very simple. Like you can simply add like this. Python. Done. Dictionary of course equals to Python. When I said like this, what happens is if one key is already available with the uh, course name in the dictionary, it will update, otherwise it will add. There is no course key available in the dictionary, so it added the Python. Okay, now for example, if I write the same statement, dictionary of course equals to advanced Python, what happens now? I'm sorry, I have to provide same quotes. So typing mistake. If I say dictionary now, I'll get C. Course advanced Python I got here. How I got this one? Course key is already available in dictionary, so it is replaced with its value. Python is replaced with advanced Python. This is how you can add an element to the dictionary. This is how you can update an element to the dictionary. Okay. If you want to delete one element from the dictionary, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Like you can use del dictionary of course dict. See, that is deleted here. Okay. So these are different types of CRUD operations we can perform against the dictionaries. Any questions on this part?